Angelic teaching, level 4, session number 5. Let's work on faith. Let's start with faith. Look into my eyes. Let's increase faith. Let's see where that brings us. Faith has almost specific feelings, certain warmth in your chest. I'd like you to feel the frequencies of the words that we use. Remember, each word, each letter has its own frequency. And then, depending on you, and you only, you put a certain intensity in some letters or some others, right? You can play with that. And that's frequency as well. That's energy as well. Some people work especially on their diction, their capacity of expressing themselves. See the blend where we skipped, we moved, we created a bridge from faith to our capacity of expressing ourselves. And we did that in a very short moment of time. This capacity of ours of being able to connect through energy from one topic to another is unique. Most people will follow their talk by going from one subject to another subject, going from one paragraph to another paragraph, because they are driven by the mind. This is limiting. If you follow the energies, you will find attraction, similarities from one topic to another that the mind won't see. Because the mind will tell you it is not logic. Guess what? It brings us back to square one. This is faith. You know what? I love everything that's being recorded here because it gives us so much impact and so much truth on all those different subjects. It's a way of thinking. It's a way of behaving. It's a way of perceiving realities. If we do feel limited in one way or another, because it doesn't match, it doesn't flow from one chapter to another, from one paragraph to another, from one idea to another, guess what? It doesn't have to. We have to let go of those beliefs that everything has to be coherent, everything has to make sense. It does not make sense. It only makes sense afterward. When I walk in the street, every single step that I do, my guides are telling me if I'm on the right path or not. If I should, in a parking slot, if I should walk left or right of one car, if I should take one aisle or another in a supermarket. When I'm going through a public toilet, they tell me which door to choose. Every single thing. The messages get deeper and deeper, more and more precise. At one point, you're just like an autopilot. The good thing is you don't have to think. The same way when I told you when I sit in a bus, I'll always sit on seats that are reserved for people with disabilities. And it took me 2 months to understand why I needed to do that. And my guides told me that I needed to do that in order to be healing those seats. For one person then to be able to come there and to enjoy that seat that was cleared and enhanced with healing energies. I take the bus from Town Hall in Sydney to Balmain twice a week. One way and come back, return. They will choose one single seat and ask me to sit always on the same seat. But of course, each time it's a different bus. But after several months, the same bus you've been sitting on different times at the same spot. So you've been anchoring and anchoring and anchoring your energies again and again and again. Until one point my guides tell me, now you go and sit another seat. And now it's getting more and more random. Because I probably need to clear one specific emotion or just prepare for one person who is going to be sitting there or there. It's all about trust and faith. We come back to faith again. We were talking earlier about the frequencies of the words, the syllables, each letter that you pronounce. Well, you're going to tell me, well, what about when you've got a French accent? I know, that's another topic. Well, let's say it's give you a plus. Yes, you're right. It's another belief. Either you consider it as an handicap, or you take it as an advantage. I've seen many speakers on TV with birthmarks on their face in France and other countries. You could consider right away that this person has no chance to be on TV. Well, guess what? As soon as one got there, several got there with the same birthmark. Isn't that funny? The first step is difficult for anything. Opening the lead, opening the way is difficult. As soon as you're able to do that, you will find people who just enjoy to be on that path. Creating a route, creating a path, it is difficult. Let's talk about another analogy. You're going to tell me, John, you're jumping again from one subject to another. Yes, I do. And I'm happy to do that because I follow my visions. Visions are the things that guide me through anything I do. Those are one of my major assets. And I feel empowered in that because I trust that. I have faith in that. You want to do the same thing. Discovering what are your gifts, your talents, and being able to move forward with that. We're talking about roots. Well, what about Marco Polo? He created roots. Yeah. What about all those amazing people discovering new countries, new ways of going to one place or another? And then the skill is to be able to transform that from one exploration to be able to have massive flow of people using the same path again and again. Because that path, that route is secured. And it's getting more and more secured. And that's how people become and start developing businesses. Well, we've seen nations that are very, very good at doing that. Using resources from one country and trading it with resources from another country. The Silk Road. The Golden Triangle. Tea, spices. This has been building cities and empires. I understand that empires, cities, countries just behave as everything with energy. Strengths and weaknesses and opportunities. Opportunities and challenges. Are those people being able to interact in the best way possible? Are they aware of those changes? Are they taking their own decisions consciously or not? Are they seizing those opportunities or not? Those are flows of energies. Any challenge can be considered as being an opportunity or not. When you are going to be doing energy work, you're going to discover things. You are going to discover tools, you're going to discover sources of energies. You're going to realize that when you play that mantra, or when you do that specific exercise, or when you talk to this guide or this one, or when you feel connected to that tree, or you go in that park, or you listen to that music, this happens to you, or this happens to you. And then the question is, what are you going to be doing with it? Are you going to be harvesting this energy? Are you going to be using it? Are you going to be selling it? Yeah, you can sell the energy that you tap into. Well, that's all about teaching. Or instead of teaching, selling bits and pieces of that energy, doing workshops, tapping on and creating a workshop of masculine, feminine energy, and helping with the words that you hear to deliver content and to have people going through a workshop by experiencing those different fields of energies that you connect to. So yes, you discover the source of energy and then you're able to tap into it and being able to live from it. So many different ways. Always work with ethics. There will always be things, and that's also something that you need to know. There will always be things that you can be improving. Oh, yes, I could have tweaked that thing a little bit further, or maybe I pushed that one a little bit too much. Or, yes, I was not yet aware of that thing at that time. What would it take for me to be able to have more time to do that? Or I should have started slower and then increase the intensity. Or, oh, I should have started sooner and then decrease the intensity prior to the end of the session. Remember, all those different things comes with time. Experience is a huge part of it. And you have to accept that every single day you're getting better and better. And that's a blessing. What are the things that you want to be working next on? That's the things that you want to be knowing as well. What is it that you want to learn? What is it that you are passionate about? What are your passions about all of that? Is it all about sacred geometry? Is it linked to numbers? Is it linked to teachings? Is it linked to ancient Egypt and its secrets, mysteries? What is it that you do that you just love doing and wanted to learn more about? For this, you need to find things that you're interested in. Find things that bring you joy and happiness that you really want to relate to. It can be, and that's one thing that I love doing, going to libraries, specific esoteric libraries, for example, and feel guided, staying in front of all those lines of books, those books lined up there, and feeling the calling for one topic or another, without looking at the books, without looking at the names of the writers, feeling drawn to one book, opening the book, opening at one specific page that you just feel like opening to, and looking at the either left or right, and just picking one paragraph, and believing that that's the paragraph you need to read. Then putting back the book on the shelf and doing it again with another book, and doing this 4 or 5 times, no more. And you do that within 5 minutes. Within 5 minutes, you're going to be able to tap into 5 different subjects and to have 5 different notions, concepts that are going to be given to you, delivered to you. I love that tool. I love that tool. And that could happen anytime, anywhere. And the great thing is, it doesn't have to be linked to spirituality. It can be any topic. You can also program that. You can also program and set yourself by saying, today I'm going to go to that library and I'm going to do this and I'm going to be there at 2 o'clock. Imagine that you set yourself a reminder from your phone for doing that in 1 week. It's like setting an appointment through time and space with yourself and also for your guides. Giving them 1 week notice, 2 weeks notice. And that's a very, very interesting concept. Because that means that you allow your mind to keep sending those information through time for 2 weeks. That could be just one topic of one book just there. Just that thought that I just implemented there in your mind. The concept is, if you do use time and create a bracket of time by saying in 2 weeks' time, from that hour to that hour, I'm going to do this event. It's not just you picking up a book at one point and asking for guidance at a specific time, instant guidance. It's you creating a bracket of, let's say, 2 weeks' time, during which you are going to emit a frequency constantly, with being aware that the end purpose of that is to receive a specific message from one book that is going to be open. Trusting that within this bracket of 2 days, 2 weeks' time, your guides, everyone is going to be receiving the message, I need, I want, I am going to, I must receive this message. Make it happen for that moment. And you start with long periods, 2 weeks. You start by having an interaction with a physical content, like a book. And you manifest that through time, through a long bracket. What do you think your guides, everything, all the universe is going to attract towards you? You're going to bring that as a magnet to you. And it is going to happen. And that could happen anytime, anywhere, on any specific topic. Of course, you're going to progressively reduce the time and that bracket. Instead of planning this on 2 weeks, you're going to plan that on 1 week, and then 3 days, and then 2 days, and then 1 hour, and then 2, etc. I told you previously, but I never explained it properly, that when I go to bed, I focus, the last thoughts are the things that I want to know, right? The questions that I have. And I say that I would love to know more about this, or how to solve that. And I sleep on it. When I wake up, usually earlier than I usually put my alarm on, I have the answer. And the way I get wake up is different each time. Either you just don't feel tired at all and your eyes are wide open, or your earplug just falls and then you start hearing some noise from outside that wakes you up, etc., etc. And you get your answer. That leads you progressively to be able to create things instantaneously. And we call that instant manifestation. By reducing the time frame from the moment where you ask things to the moment it happens. In order to make it happen in the best way possible, this is where you use physical words. Call it an incantation. You know that it's one thing to have thoughts. Well, that's another thing when you start to be sharing those thoughts through words. By putting focus, intention, intensity in each single word that you are saying. Yes. Remember, each letter is a frequency. When you send out there those frequencies, they emit, they pulse. The more awareness you put in each of those words, the more aware of the power of the words that you are using, the more it works. What do you think happened when Jesus comes to his person and say, look into his eyes and say, stand up and walk? Yeah. The one thing that he transmitted to this man is faith. Faith in the capacity for this person to heal instantaneously. By holding his sight, by holding his hand, by sending him the positive energies needed, by giving this person courage, helping this person to find the courage in himself to shift his own realities and manifesting an altered dimension, reversing the process of aging or the sickness even, transform cells. I could give you heaps of examples of instant manifestations that can happen and did happen that I've been witnessing. What counts are yours and yours only. Yes, we've been all hearing about capacities of being able to be bilocating from one place to another. We all heard of those stories. Padre Pio, famous exorcist, was able to bilocate and go to other places. Physically, people will see, will talk to him, will shake hands with them. And he will be at the same time in another location. How is that possible? That's none of our concern. What about levitation? Is it possible to levitate? Yes, I do believe it's possible. I could go on and on and on and answer to all your different questions. What counts is, what are you going to manifest next? And again, it doesn't have to be an amazing, huge thing. That's the thing. In order for us to believe, we just need tiny little things to make us believe. To increase our faith, to increase our passion. Tiny little snapshots. Talking about snapshots, one word brings another image. And that's how I want you to work. I'm still going to give you this example that I had in mind. And at the same time, I had that thing that came up, that thought. So what do I do with that thought? I just skip it and erase it? No. The thought that I had that this, when I said the word short period of time, guess what? I had the vision of making edits on that video, that same exact video, and being able then to use that bit, make an extract of 1-2 minutes, and showcasing it, sending it, spreading the word, just on that one thought, an extract from one teaching. Should I have spared that thought? Should I have just not put any focus onto it and move to the next things? I can't do that. Because I do believe that that thought, if it came at one point or another, it is significant, it is important. So this is why I've been noticing as well what time it was when I've been talking to you about this. And I looked at it, and I noticed the time, so I do know that we're talking about that bracket. And I know that, and I keep having numbers, it's about 2 minutes length. Don't let those thoughts run away from you. Embrace them. Keep them safe. Hold them all together. Share them. See, we were talking about faith. Listen to my voice. See how I started slow. And now we're putting more and more focus and energy into it, more fuel into it, more passion into it. The vision that I have right now is about colors. You can play all your life with pastels, colors. You do amazing work, but everything in light color, light intensity. Guess what? At one point your life is going to be pale. Of course it has to be pale. Every single color you use are pale. What do you think is going to happen? The work that you create is pale. The life that you create is pale. Do you want a pale life? Of course not. You want a bright, colorful life in many different shades, in many different aspects. So how do you want to make that happen in your life? I come back to the initial example I wanted to share with you about manifesting and instant manifestations. Right? I told you about this story about Spotify and how I had that thought coming twice to me, and then suddenly seeing this on the parking slot being written in large big letters, Spotify. It's funny, huh? Just after I took my membership in order to learn more about my taste of music, in music. All right, this example took place yesterday. I was driving to the beach to spend some time there at the sun, spending some time lying on the dune. And guess what? I suddenly feel this craving for hamburgers at McDonald's. Well, pros and cons about eating at McDonald's. Let it be. I had this amazing hunger for 3 $1 burgers. Yeah. 1 burger, $1, 3 burger, $3. And I had that thought coming to me when I was lying on that beach. First thing I do, take my car, drive to that McDonald's place. And about the time where I was going to be reaching there, that thought came back to me. McDonald's $1 burger. At the same time, I was listening to radio. One half of a second after having that thought of $1 burger, I hear the ad of McDonald's advertising for the $1 burger. Not for any burger, for the $1 burger. And I've never heard that ad before. Never. It was the first time I would hear that ad. And I heard that ad maybe 20 seconds prior to making the right turn to get on the parking slot for McDonald's. I'd like you to understand it's not about the burger, it's not about McDonald's, right? It's about a process. And that's the key thing. People do expect to live amazing experiences, and they feel that they have to go on the other side of the earth in order to make it happen. That they have to be in an amazing place or whatever, surrounded by mantras and everything. Guess what? It happens anywhere. Miracles happen when you do manifest them, when you do believe in them, when you're calling them, when you consider them as being a must in your life. Yes, a must in your life. They have to be, because they are. It's about knowing. It's about feeling totally committed to one thing. Visions. Visions. I love visions. What do you do with them? Do you guide your visions? Do you do something with them? Or are you just letting them flow, doing nothing with them at all? A few weeks earlier, kept having visions of videos, interviews, interacting with people, talking to them about their gifts and abilities and how they were able to handle that and to transmit those gifts to others. I still didn't have the full picture of it, but those things came to me again and again. And they were just around me, right? So the same way as I usually do, I write everything down. I will call those ideas. And I created a full way of sorting out from one idea to a manifestation. A process, a full process on how to go from one single thought to make it happen. By creating charts, understanding how things work, how I work, in order to be able to implement them the best way possible. I needed to structure this process to understand exactly how it works. Another vision. You want to experience those visions, you want to understand how that works. Look into books of Tibet. Look about the teachings of the Dalai Lama. They've got teachings that date from thousands of years. They've been understanding the process of the soul. They've been doing and rehearsing researches on that field. They've been studying. There's so many things that we need to be aware of. I'll get back to that. I open another parenthesis. Remember, I told you about sometimes I just have friends and I talk to them and they are psychics and we just share whatever comes up. Sometimes it's to help each other on our path. It's not just like a proper psychic session, it's just two friends being together and suddenly something popping up in our mind. I say, oh, I feel you should do that. Have you thought of doing that? Or remind me of telling you about this, or I'll send you the link about that. That takes 5 minutes. And that gives a quantum leap in your work, in your life. And if you do that with key people, people in which you trust, that gives a lot of focus and that enhances as well your life. Gives shortcuts as well. And one of my friends had the thirst of sharing this vision that he had, telling me that he saw me with those videos interviews. Guess what? I wrote down those visions as well. And I put that down under ideas. And I didn't know yet when it was going to happen, because I didn't need to. He gave me that indication. That means he was there to give me the time frame, allowing me to say yes to that idea to be implemented in my life. That also means that sometimes you're not supposed to know everything. That's another important concept. Why sometimes do we have to need to wait, to not know something? See, when you get a vision and for 3 weeks in a row you keep having the same simple vision coming back and hitting you again and again and again, at one point the first thing you want to do, besides writing it down and keeping it safe and warm for you, you just want to know when that thing is going to happen, right? And you could be spending a lot of time, a lot of focus on trying to find why and how come it doesn't work, and start doubting. Remember, the topic of today is faith. Of talking and not knowing and doubting about yourself. Or all of this was meant to be to reinforce that message, to reinforce for you in you that thirst of learning more about it, for you to be able to experience it even more and more strongly when it will come into your life. For then, one person that you trust, who is psychic, that you can relate to as psychic, for example, friend on top of that, will pick up on your auric field, because it was so being constantly brought up again and again and again that it got imprinted on your outside layers of your auric field. That way it just oversees your aura and just picks up that thing. Overhead or over shoulder reading, right? Being able to read on your auric field the things that were there, and they got there because they kept coming back and again and again and again, and you were able to pick that up. And he receives an extra information. Also because when two psychics come together, or more psychics come together, their whole energy combined enhances all of it and allows more things to happen. This is why you've got amazing gatherings of witches, psychics, or anything, and they co-create things together. Well, one of the best example for that is Stonehenge. We've all seen in different movies and folklores when those witches just dance around the stones, and the tale says that they are virgins and they are all nicely dressed in white robes, and they dance and they sing all night long with the full moon. So many things to talk about. Have faith. Talk to you soon.